Hello, everybody. So, we're still reading How to Be Your Own Therapist. How might your story explain your issues? It's common for there to be more than one root cause behind our main areas of struggle. It's worth remembering that as children and in our formative years, our brains are like sponges, absorbing everything we hear and experience. Children can't differentiate between emotional intelligence and the way an adult can. If someone calls a child stupid, fat, or ugly regularly, then they may begin to normalize this as a truth. If, as a child, you are compared with a sibling and told they are brighter or better looking than you, that sense of being of less value than the other people begins to kick in. In my experience, much of the damage normally occurs at home. My intention here is not to blame parents or families, simply to offer the truth as I see it. Many families operate from dysfunctional foundations. They don't intend to cause them, but they do. You know the script. Why can't you be more like your brother? Stop whining and leave me alone. You're lazy, selfish, ungrateful. Within many homes, there are patterns of comparing, undermining, ignoring, criticizing, judging, or placing high expectations on a child. And this can cause problems. When this happens regularly, the negative message, whatever it is reinforced, which in turn influences the brain's neural pathways and our learned emotional responses. I'll give you an example. A child is told by his parents that he's going to be a great football player when he grows up. His father wants him to play for England. They want a successful career for him, but the child has average skills at the game. Each time he comes home from a football game, he is criticized by his father for not playing well enough and told he should work harder. This happens for after most games, and the child feels humiliated and that he is let down. Then he begins to develop a sense that he is less value than other people and not good enough. A new neural pathway and consequently formed in his brain, which conditions him to believe that unless he's successful, he's not good enough. His worth is compromised, low self-worth is set in place. These negative influences can also be found beyond the family home, within different cultures, religions, schools, genders, stereotyping, and of course, all forms of media, social media especially. We are surrounded by people telling us who we should be, how we should be, and what we should be. As a gay man, that's the author, I am more than familiar with the detrimental impact these influences can have and the importance of rewriting that script. I'm going to be honest about how my own self-esteem took a battering because of negative influences. As a gay teenager growing up in a working class area of Belfast, where there were clear ideas about how men should behave, I was always going to struggle. My version of masculinity didn't match up with that of the people around me, and I didn't always fit in. I couldn't play football, for example, so I was at times ostracized. A question began to form in my mind. Am I not enough? Culture and environment played a role in my feelings of low self-worth. I grew up Catholic and listened to hundreds of sermons as a child telling me that people like me would go to hell. When I got older and became more conscious of my sexuality, I remembered those sermons, and they made me wonder whether I was less worthy than other people. Later, I'd wonder, am I a bad person? Religion played a role in my feeling of low self-worth. I went to a primary school that encouraged its pupils to excel in sports and praised sports excellence above other skills and talents. But I far preferred music over sports. Again, more reinforced messages about not quite fitting in or being good enough. I'm sure you get the picture. Various influences contribute to feelings of self-doubt, and over time, these become habitual. But in my salvation was in finding a therapist and making sense of them. The circumstances I found myself in reinforced the lie that something was inherently wrong with me. But the truth was, I was completely fine. The insight changed everything for me. I hope you can experience a similar revelation in your therapy with me. How do you link your story to what you struggle with now? So far, you've identified the biggest issues you struggle with, and you've told your story in full. Now you're going to piece them together, like the jigsaw puzzle I mentioned earlier. You want to be asking yourself the question, what part of my story can help me understand why I might sometimes have low self-esteem, not feel safe or secure, experience feelings of hopelessness, or not consider myself to be lovable? As before, if emotions or reactions come up as you're reflecting on or answering the questions, simply take note and allow them to be. Ideally, you want to be curious about your emotions response that crop up without being distracted by them. Exercise 2. How to connect your story to your everyday struggles. First, I invite you to go back and read over your story and see if there's anything immediately grabs your attention or helps you make a connection with what you struggle with today. In relation to 4 areas we have explored, for example, Jason, a client of mine, noticing a recurring theme in the several messages he's receiving from his family. Throughout his life, avoid getting excited by life and you'll prevent disappointment. It was almost a family motto. As an adult, he identified that this was one of the contributing factors to his intermittent episodes of depression and feeling of hopelessness. You were looking for those aha or light bulb moments when you think, my struggle finally makes sense. Take note of those thoughts and emerge. Here are some of the reflective questions that might help you out. 1. How might my family and home life have impacted upon each of my main areas of my struggle today? Example, was I valued, respected, and listened to? 2. How might my community or environment have impacted upon each of my main areas of struggle today? Did I fit in? Was I included? 3. How might my church or religion have impacted upon each of my main areas of struggle today? Did this part of my life make me feel good? 4. How might my time at school or college have impacted upon each of my main areas of struggle today? Was I bullied or humiliated? 5. How might any key incidents in my life have impacted upon how I see myself today? Example, was I a carer for a family member? Was I overweight, or did I have acne as a teenager? Was I sexually assaulted? 6. How might my relationships, family, friends, work, romantic, have impacted upon each of my main areas of struggle today? Example, can I recall any relationships that were destructive? 7. Detail anything else in your story that is significant to you in relation to the issues you struggle with and how you see yourself. Here's a brief recap on where we are at this stage. Therapists love a recap. Bear with me. So far you have told your life story in full, without filter or self-judgment. Identified your main areas of psychological struggle, connected your story with your struggles, gained a better understanding of why you might struggle. In the next chapter, we're going to continue the foundation work by looking at what exactly you want to change in the future based on what you know about yourself. People make the mistake of thinking therapy is all about talking. It's not. This is a way of life based on talking, feeling, responding, and knowing what you want and what you're doing. Think of it like training for a marathon. You need to do more than just join the gym and buy new trainers. I'm going to be giving you the tools so that this way of living becomes second nature to you. This work is about moving forward. I can't assume to know what you want for your future, but what I can say is salvage what you can from your experiences and allow them to be part of your brighter future. We can't take a shortcut through the difficult parts, but the efforts you put in now will be paid back tenfold. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll read some more later.